Okay, good morning. My name is Jeff Holmquist. I'm with Electrical Systems Incorporated. We're here at the Mammoth Hotel. We're going over customer training for the electrical system. It's pretty simple. There's two panels. The main panel is downstairs in the basement, or downstairs on first floor. There's two panels in the basement and two panels on the second floor. They're split up in different ways. There's an inverter system that controls the lighting, and we will go through and walk through those. The main thing you want to remember on the inverter system is that it is a 90-minute time, so you have 90 minutes of battery life once the power is dropped off of those panels. It's really not that, our system's really not that complicated, and like I said, we'll do a walkthrough of where different parts are, a couple little pieces of the puzzle that need to be remembered where they were in case something does go wrong. We will go over where the inverters are, we'll go over where the panels are, and we'll go over where the lighting control panel is, and touch on a couple other little things. So there's the red line drawings should be in maintenance, and if you need those, you can always get with your manager and talk about where those are. Okay? I think that's it for the overview part, and we can go kind of do a quick walkthrough and figure out where things are. So this is our primary disconnect, and as you can see, it's on right now. It's fed from the transformer vault that's right here and feeds the MDP on the far side. If for some reason you need to turn the power off, completely off the building, this is where you'll need to go. This will disconnect the power from the main distribution panel, and which will kill the power for the entire building. It's located right on the edge of the main hotel itself, and it's probably 100 yards from the main distribution panel. Do you guys have any questions?
So this is a new service.
This is a new service for the entire building. Okay. Correct. So we don't have to. There's no charging of this panel. It does require a bit of pressure to push it on and off, but there's no charging. You'll see there's an arc flash rating, arc flash sticker, so you'll need to be aware of if you ever need to open this up, you'll need to follow this arc flash protection stuff, and figure out what kind of protective gear you need before you open this panel. And I would highly recommend, actually, that the common maintenance guy never gets in here, that a qualified electrician is the only person who gets into this panel. Okay, so this is the main distribution panel, or what we call the MDP. All of our circuit panels, or all of our panels are fed 1B, BA. There's a couple of condensing units up on the roof that are controlled here. There is some pumps for the boiler system that are controlled from here. This is the main distribution panel that feeds the rest of the building. And this is 1B. 1B is mostly receptacles throughout the lobby and map room area. I don't know if there's really anything that we need to talk about as far as any special things. Just so you know, we're waiting for a couple circuit breakers. That's not the way it's going to be. The ATM is on this panel. So if something goes wrong with the ATM's right across the hall. This is where you can go to turn that on or off. And there is a couple of the inverters that are up here underneath the stairwell that are fed from this panel as well.
These panels, they're just not labeled yet. Will they be?
Well,
or
yeah.
The labeled inside.
The labels. Oh yes, there will be a hard label on every single one of these.
And then those are corresponding to the drawings.
That is correct.
Very good.
That is correct.
Very good.
We can actually go around the corner and we can look at there's a couple of inverters that are underneath the stairwell. So we're in the main stairwell. And in this storage room are 2 inverters. The first inverter controls lighting in the stairwell area as well as down the hallway. The second inverter is for the espresso machine in the bar area. And if you need to get into those, we'll have a series of documentation that will give you a step-by-step on how to, if something goes wrong, how to reset them. And we'll include that documentation in our paperwork. Okay, this is the elevator control room. There's not a whole lot as a maintenance person that you're going to be needing to do in here. There's a lot of safety things that are tied to turning off and shutting down and working on elevator equipment. The only thing that you may want to understand is the main disconnect for the elevator system is right here on the wall, and you'll need to turn that off. But if anything goes wrong, you'll need to get a hold of your manager and get a hold of the elevator people themselves, and have a technician come out here who's qualified to take care of elevator stuff. Okay, so we're here in the datacom room. Three of the things we wanted to talk about: the UPS panel, the regular power panel, and the lighting control panel. Once again, these will all have labels on them that correspond to your prints. As well as these panels, we have 2 inverters. These 2 inverters control virtually all the emergency lighting, or what I call emergency lighting, in the building, outside as well as inside. The wing is separate. This is we're talking about the lobby. So there's some lights that you'll notice throughout the building that are on 24/7, and those lights are all controlled by these 2 inverters. We've split the power between outside and inside. Well, it's not quite that way. That sounded bad. There's some of the circuits for outside go into one inverter, and then the rest of the circuits are all inside circuits. Once again, these have a 90-minute backup, and we'll have to figure something out if the power is out for more than 90 minutes. This is the regular power panel, or as the print show call the BA panel. There's circuits that are in the basement that are fed from this panel, as well as circuits in the main lobby and gift shop area that are fed from this panel. There's really, as far as, there's some HVAC motors that are controlled off of here. The rest of them are pretty much just outlets and receptacles. The emergency panel, or the UPS panel, all of the point of sales are on this panel. So if the point of sale goes down, the UPS panel is where you need to go. There's also a couple of offices, the controller's office, that have UPS circuits on them as well. One thing that you'll need to note on here is that the fire alarm panel, which is right behind us, is fed from this panel. That needs to stay on. It should always stay on unless something catastrophic happens and it has to be shut down. But you turn that off, the whole system's going to go down, and that'll notify the fire response system. The lighting control panel is this little green box over here, watt stopper. Currently, the lighting is set up to go on 1 hour before dusk and stay on for 1 hour after dawn. If for some reason you want to change the programming on that, there's a book here that takes you step by step through reprogramming the system. If for some reason you need to manually turn lights on or off, you'll notice that there are little red buttons in here. You can see them. They're right there in a line. This system is set up that it could have a series. It could hold more circuits than what you guys require. So what you'll see is that some are lit up, and you could touch that. Usually it's easier to use like a little screwdriver or something just to tap that little red button, and that will activate that circuit on and off manually.
Then it doesn't reset itself.
And then it'll at the next, so let's say you turned it off during the day. When it gets to dusk, it'll turn itself back on.
Is that battery backed up?
That is correct. These are off the inverter circuits. So we're in the mechanical room. This is the main sump for the building. There's 2 pumps in here, a lead and a lag pump that will suck the water out of here and take it out. The only thing I wanted to talk about from an electrical standpoint is the control panel. Obviously the disconnect is beside it, has to be on. You can see right now the control power is on, and whenever one of the pumps is activating, you'll see a green light to show you which pump, or maybe they're both on. But what I really want to talk to you about is if for some reason the pumps fail or fail to turn on and we get to a high level mark, there's an alarm in here that the way you turn it off is there's a black, it's not a button, but a black piece right here with a hole in the middle. If you hold your finger over the hole, that is the way you silence the alarm. The alarm is pretty loud. So if you ever need to get in here, or even if you're doing maintenance on it and the alarm goes off, just hold your finger over there until the alarm goes off, and that'll silence it. I mean, obviously, if the alarm condition still is present, it's going to continue to go off, but that's how you silence the alarm. Okay, so we're down here in the tunnels, and the only thing I wanted to talk to you about down here in the tunnels is the exhaust system for the bathrooms in the main hotel are controlled by a start-stop station here that is tied to the fire alarm system. And in the case of a fire incident, it will shut all of the fans, exhaust fans off in the main hotel, and you'll have to come down here and turn the fans back on. When the light is red, the fans are on. So there's a stop button here and a start button, and all you're worried about after the fire alarm system shuts off the fans, you'll have to come down here and turn the fans on. What we want to do is talk to you about the location of this. This is the same exact system that has been in registration before. During the remodel, we moved it down here into the tunnels. Okay, so we're on 2nd floor. We're in the pantry area. This is the location of panel 2A. 2A is primarily the lighting for the 2nd floor. There's some condensers. No, it's as far open as it goes. There's some condensers out here on the condenser pad that are fed from 2A. That's something to be aware of. And then this pantry, the power in the pantry is also fed from 2A. But most of the other ones are, all the lighting on 2nd floor is controlled from 2A. We'll go over to 2B, and that's where most of the power for 2nd floor is. Inside the pantry, it's pretty self-explanatory. The tables, the center island tables back here can be moved a bit. If they have to be moved out, then the power would have to be disconnected from those. But it's pretty easy. Okay, so out here on the condenser pad, we have the 2 main air conditioning units. Those are fed from downstairs at the main distribution panel or the MDP. The 3rd one down is fed from panel 2A here in the pantry, as well as the 2 ice machine condensers on the far back. You can't see the other one, but they're both fed from here in panel 2A. Okay, so most of the receptacles that require GFCI protection are actually GFCI breakers. We don't have a whole lot of GFCI outlets. It's just simpler for us to reset it back at the panel than trying to figure out, in a lot of cases, figure out where the GFCI receptacle is. So The equipment came with some
Okay.
GFCIs already attached to the tables and whatnot. And what we have done is, because you can't have a GFCI outlet on a GFCI breaker, it doesn't work. So where we have GFCI outlets, it's just on a plain breaker in the back. You can see some of those actually came with GFCIs, and we changed them out to standard because it's
Those
already.
are the ones that you can bet that we'll get the question on.
The GFCIs that you put in, are they self-testing ones?
We didn't, honestly, we haven't put any GFCIs in. The only GFCIs that are in the lobby area are the ones that came pre-installed on the equipment. Yeah, so the breakers are the GFCI protection. And everywhere that's required to have a GFCI breaker or a GFCI protection next to sinks, anywhere that could get water, outside, or even though you don't see the GFCI right there, it's protected back at the panel.
And the ABC is in reference to panel breaker.
We're going to take those labels off because what we did was they had set this up for each one of those to be a separate circuit.
Oh.
And we, in the scope of the engineering, they didn't allow for that many. So what we have done though is, according to the prints, they're going to have a grinder, a coffee grinder. The coffee pot sits here. This is the power for the coffee pot. And so the coffee pot will sit here, showed a grinder sitting next to it. And the amperage rating on the grinder was enough that we wanted to have it on its own circuit. So what we did was we actually tied it in so that the cord, there's two cords on the back of this sink. One of them controls these two, and the other one controls this one. So you can't plug. So there's a cord that goes over there that controls those two, so that you can't mix and match or get down here and plug something else in. And that's the way we try to isolate that coffee grinder. I mean, we're still fine.
And do you label like these bigger pieces of equipment, like what breaker that is, or no? Just a question.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure what we've done as far as labeling. It's labeled on the inside, but as far as we can get it labeled on the outside too.
I just didn't know.
Yeah, no, that's and they are labeled in there.
We need to shut this down.
Because honestly, there's two circuits. There's two circuits for this table and two circuits for this table. This table has a refrigerator as well as the underheater, and this one has the underheater. What we're going to be doing is there's an outlet down here that we plug. It's kind of confusing because the refrigerator on this table is plugged into this table. That's the way it came. So that's what we did is we added the circuit that covers the refrigerator is actually here. So we can label it. We'll definitely label it.
I'm curious, so when we go to the panel, how do we know which one of these we're shutting down?
Sure would be
Right.
effective for us if, of course, you always double check, but
So I want to shut this one down. I look up here and it says
Yep.
breaker 3. I go over there.
And that's how we'll label it.
Yeah.
That's how we'll label it.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
At least the bigger equipment.
Yep.
Yeah, perfect. Good.
But surely we'll have.
So we're here in the table. We're still on the second floor. We're here in the table storage room. This is panel 2B. Once again, you'll see that it doesn't have a label, but it will have a label by the time we get done with the remodel. This panel is primarily receptacles on the second floor. The only thing you'll notice too is that the heat tape for all the roof is controlled off this panel as well. That's probably the only deviation or the only thing you'll have to really worry about if for some reason you need to turn the heat tape off. And that's the heat tape is the one that goes down the gutters and then around the scuffers to remove ice dams. So
Those are thermostat controlled also?
there's a little, yeah, it's a self-regulating cable. And then there's a controller that's going to get mounted right out here on the condenser.
There's no point turning those off in the summertime. really.
There shouldn't be any, it's just self-regulating. They won't turn off, they won't turn on if it's too warm.
Yep.
So. So, okay, so we're upstairs on the second floor still, and we're in the old datacom room. The only thing we wanted to point out was there's still 2 panels that are active. You still have an older UPS panel that is active, and an old regular power panel that is still active. That's really all we wanted to do, is point out that there's still panels up here in case for some reason something goes wrong and you have to try to figure out where you need to start troubleshooting. See how this is?
Keeps them all straight.
Yeah, see? So it takes quite a bit to get them to go straight.
Okay.
So,
Track.
so a track, they just snap right into the, I mean, it doesn't snap hard, but it snaps
But
well.
you don't have to take this off.
I do, on the under counter lights we did. On these we did not, because it's just laying. And they're actually set up at on the 30-degree angle that one is, but we just snapped it in. Okay, so as we're looking at the riser diagram, we are 120, 208, 3-phase, 225 amps at the main distribution panel. That feeds the rest of the building from the transformer. So, is there any other questions we have?
Goes to the different panels.
Goes to the different panels, correct. Okay, well that wraps up the electrical training for the new remodel of the Mammoth Hotel. If you have any questions, you can either call Electrical Systems Incorporated, better still call your foreman, your supervisor, and it's not too difficult, so thanks.